Meow. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cup TV, part of the Currently Unnamed Podcast Network, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy. Say something gay. I've got water, as always, but I'm also drinking a cute little peanut butter and jelly protein shake.
Oh, nice.
Smoothie situation. Yeah. And by that, I put peanut butter powder in a fruit smoothie with cherries and blueberries, and it's very delicious.
Wonderful. Fancy schmancy. Well, hi, everybody. It's me, Lana, and I'm still your resident evil diva. And I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I loves me some tea. Purr. And I, too, am just drinking some water. Hydration is important. And I decided not to get fancy with my drink, so that's all I'm drinking is some plain water. But I do have my cup mug. And we do have a panel full of cup mugs. Panel full of cup mugs.
Oh, I was doing it with you.
I was just about to do it. I wasn't there yet. I had to finish my but it's okay. We didn't plan it. We didn't practice, so it's fine.
No.
I was trying to do it in one of the season
with you.
I was gonna do it with you too. I would have did it, but I was thrown about.
It's fine.
It's fine. You can get this beautiful cup mug, and you can maybe on the next time when we start the actual recap of Survivor, we'll have it down pat for sure.
Period.
So get your cup mugs at lanagspirations.etsy.com. The link will be in the description below. And we do ship internationally and domestically here in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So there are no excuses. Even if your postal service is running a bit slow, a delay is never a deny. So get your cup merch. Period.
And hello, my name is Jack. I am the resident game designer of the panel, and I have Survivor fever. Or just a fever, I genuinely can't tell. But either way, I'm here.
We're happy that you're here nonetheless.
And I have some tea to make sure I can actually speak without sounding like I have smoked cigarettes for 10 years.
I mean,
well,
you know.
Lovely. And we are here drafting for Survivor 48.
Yay!
And when does that start, Logan?
Next week.
Woo!
Cannot wait. If you did not check out our first impressions video, Jack and I talked a little bit about the cast already, so make sure to check that out right up there. But we're going to talk a little bit more about them. We've had a lot more information come out about our lovely 18 survivors for this season. And we're going to draft our draft teams for the season. So if you're unfamiliar with our format for doing this, we did it for Australian Survivor, and we also did it for The Amazing Race. It is a new format a la Rob Has a Podcast. Shout out most especially to Rob Has a Podcast and to Mike Bloom for all of the beautiful preseason work that they are doing over there. Spent a lot of today watching some RHAP videos of preseason interviews. So we are all going into this with varying degrees of knowledge about the cast. I'm very excited to see how this turns out. And we're going to go for it. Before we do, make sure to subscribe if you've not already, because we're here almost all the time giving you almost all things competitive reality TV. And make sure to check out the description below where you can find all of our audio podcast links, as well as our other YouTube channels and our Patreon for exclusive content and early access, which will be ramping up here very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. But
also, we are on a mission of trying to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So we need you to be one of those people. If you already done it, thanks. If you haven't, just do it. Please and thank you. Ain't too proud to be here. Do it. Thank you.
Come on now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, well, with that being said, it is time to start the draft. Ooh. So our draft order was randomized prior to this recording. Per Lana's request, I randomized it 8 times. I was not going to randomize it 48 times.
That was been crazy. I said, I gave the suggestion either 4 or 8 times.
The snake draft format, with the person who has the first pick also getting the last pick. So, with that being said, thankfully, on this Black History Month,
period,
draft order did not fuck up Lana too many times in a row. So
push me to the back.
Our draft order is Lana, Jack, and then me.
Okay.
So
I'll take it today. I don't like being pushed to the back every single time. I go to the back some occasions, but not every time. And this draft has been trying to do me in the last 3. They've been trying to get me. But all right.
Now, with that being said, Lana, you do have first pick. So
I know. Now that makes me nervous. Now that I have this, I don't know what to do.
You have all the power.
I know. Okay. I'm looking at notes because here we are, folks. Let's break the fourth wall. Logan already said different knowledges of about who these players are. I'm the one with no knowledge. I'm the one reading the notes right now for the first time, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm gonna pick Charity. Literally just scroll down and was like,
okay.
That's
yeah, that's fair. That is very fair. It's also a travesty.
It's an absolute travesty.
I mean, baby. This is one person preseason I saw, and I was like, I really like her. I don't know how well she's gonna do, but I just like her, and I don't care. She's Gorgina, number 1. She's a fitness coach and a flight attendant. She's a Disney adult. Loves that. I just think she's a fun person. She just seems like a fun personality, someone who I can root for happily, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, she was someone very, very high on my list, especially after watching her interview with Mike Bloom. She is remarkably personable, and she even talked about it in the interview. There is this charismatic quality about her. I mean, she's obviously a flight attendant, and she is a one-woman show when it comes to her fitness instructing business, and has literally not taken a day off of that in like 6 years, and talked a lot about how it's a very interesting pick also for you, Lana, specifically, knowing how involved in your faith you are, because she was in ministry school, was watching Survivor, ended up dropping out of ministry school to become a flight attendant, and then started just posting online about her fitness journey, and then a lot of people got inspired, and that's how she got into fitness coaching. But I find her incredibly charismatic. A lot of people in their preseason interviews are talking about Charity.
Love it.
Because they're done at Ponderosa, so they have a little bit of interaction beforehand. Not much. Like, they're not allowed to talk to each other, but there's a little bit of interaction. A lot of people have been talking about Charity specifically. So I think she's a great choice. She's got knowledge of the game. I think it's a great choice.
Yeah, Charity, at least to me, read to someone who 100% will be able to get into a majority alliance. There is no problem. She will not be seen as a weak link during the early stage of the game at all, and I would not be surprised if she could make really deep allies going in. She also just reads as someone who knows how to manage themselves really well and how to be humble. I don't necessarily have a lot to go off with that, but she is essentially being like, I doubted myself for so long that I could do this, and now I'm here and saying I am doing this and I'm going to win. So yeah, no, this was a really, really good pick.
Very happy. Yay.
Lovely. Lovely. All right, Jack.
So my first pick is someone that I literally, within moments of reading their initial bio, when I am so much like this person in so many ways that I can't not pick them.
Yeah.
Camilla.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Camilla is a Discord software engineer. They have failed at every step of the way and have figured out how to simply survive and come up from it. She has always wanted to play Survivor because it looked fun and to represent the brown girls, and to basically tell your aunties, I'm just going to do the exact opposite of what you're doing. So, simply put, Camilla is hilarious. She is very personable. If she is not the narrator of the season, I don't know who is.
I think I know who is.
Okay.
I think she will be one of the narrators of the season for sure. There are 3 people for me that are giving narrator energy. And I will be drafting one of them here shortly, so we'll be talking about them. But
yeah.
Camilla is a gorgeous choice. I loved watching her interview with Mike Bloom. The one thing for me that stood out very distinctly with Camilla was she was talking about how she doesn't necessarily sound smart, but she is. Like she doesn't use like a super like egregious, look at me using an egregious vocabulary, but like she doesn't use big words. Like that's not part of her personality, but she is very in tune with what needs to be done. And she's like, I just think it's a great pick. I really like her.
I like her. I'm reading her thing. I'm like, okay. She just seems like that rebellious type who is going to just do whatever she wants regardless of what people think. But she also knows that, I think she knows the balance. I feel like she'll suss out a situation first before she just goes all out and just wild out or whatever. I like her. I think she is a great choice, Jack. Great pick.
All right. Well, I get 2 picks back to back. I am very, very happy that I will be getting 2 of my top 3 picks.
I think I know one of them. I probably know one.
Might come as a surprise to you.
We'll see.
There are a couple of people that really stood out to me. There are 4 people that I really hope to get on my draft team, and I'm hoping that a couple of them will come back around to me on my next round. The first person I'm going to draft is someone that I liked from reading her bio, but really, really was entertained by her in her interview with Mike Bloom. I'm sorry, Jack. I'm going to take the Bianca.
That was literally my next pick, mother.
And that's why I cannot pass up on Bianca Roses. I cannot pass up on Bianca Roses. She's from Jersey. She's worked in PR for 10 years. And that alone, I was like, okay, I'm sold. And then I watched her interview and I saw her personality and I was like, she is wildly infectious. She knows exactly what she needs to do. Like working in PR for as long as she did. She also recently quit her PR agency job, moved with her husband to Virginia, and started her own PR agency. Again, one woman show here. I think she has all of the charisma in the world. but she doesn't take herself too seriously, and that is my favorite part about Bianca. I think she could be a very strong social threat in this game. If she can make it past the early portion of the game, I don't really see anyone. There's a couple people, but I don't think there are many people on this season who could pass up on her social abilities. So, without a shadow of a doubt, I had to pick Bianca.
I am so unbelievably annoyed because
I'm
this
sorry.
was my next
I'm not
pick.
sorry.
I mean, one from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I was going, specifically the Jersey Shore area. Like, I was going to pick her almost no matter what. But she has watched season 1 since she was like 8. Like, she is someone who reads as a very, very, very strong player who could be taken out very early by a tribe strength argument, but as long as she can get past that hurdle, she makes a run for the end game. Like, I genuinely cannot see her faltering in almost any aspect. So, very, very good pick.
Thank you. I think she's on a good tribe too. I think she's on a very strong tribe.
Oh yeah, I think she's gonna. I just read up on her. Yeah, I can see why you're mad, Jack, and I can see why you had to do it, Logan. She is someone who I would have considered very highly on my list as well. And hearing all about how she is just so like, I can do this. I can work for several companies, do this whole PR thing for over 10 years, up and quit and leave and move to a new place and still have, and still build more businesses. Yeah, you're doing something right, mama. And I'm here for it. Love that for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now my second pick is probably the more obvious pick. There is another person that I think is wildly, wildly entertaining already. And I am banking on the fact that if one alternate from season 46 can come back on the next season and win, I think Shaheen can come in as the alternate from 46 and win Survivor 48.
I wrote that down. I said that's who you were going to pick.
Yep.
It only makes 100%. Sense.
I mean, beyond the fact that I find this man absolutely gorgeous, I think he is a very, very, very capable player. He's a speech and debate professor. He was a lawyer before that. Like, he's worked in speech and debate now for I think 10 years. Like, he's just got everything it takes. And hearing about the adventures from Ponderosa from Survivor 46, he is the one person that was talked about the most by the people at the Ponderosa before Survivor 46 out of anybody. And he was mentioned several times in the preseason interviews for 48 as well. I just think he's got a very commanding presence, but I think he understands how to put it on when he needs to and when to take a step back when he needs to. I really liked him talking as well about wanting to pair up with a strategist because he's an ideas guy. He has the ideas. He's not exactly sure how to execute those ideas. And I like that kind of gameplay. As he said, he's socially savvy, strategically competent, and athletically underestimated. And I think he's going to do phenomenally on this season. I'm really happy as well that he was an alternate for 46 and got his opportunity to play here. So I had to go with Shaheen.
I mean, you definitely did. And I understand why. And great choice. I did not realize he was the alternate for 46, but that's great. And I think
it was him and Rachel, the winner of last season, were the alternates for 46.
See, I think if they had to have seen something in him in order to bring them back after being an alternate. So I'm like, if you were an alternate for 46 and then they still brought you back for 48. You must have been very, very impressive to them, and I think this is a good choice. I can see him doing really, really well in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Shaheen was 100% my. You keep taking like this man knows what he needs to do to win the game. He has almost already laid it out. He is going to fight like it's his third time out there. Every single thing I've seen of him is proving to me that, like, the minute you give someone an alternate position and you don't cast them, you have actually powered them up to play the game like hell. So, simply put, I think we could easily see Shaheen at the very, very end of this game.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a couple of people that really impressed me by saying specifically, oh, I'm going to play like it's my second or my third time. Shaheen was one of them. Charity was one of them. And I really appreciated the people that were like, no, I'm going into this with this mindset and I'm going to do whatever I need to win. And I like that in a Survivor player. So,
absolutely.
Shaheen. All right, Jack, since I took 2 of your next picks.
Yeah. Bastard. Anyway, my next pick is someone I do believe has a really good head on her shoulders and has basically proven throughout her own life why she's already going to win the game of Survivor.
Yeah.
Simply put, I'm picking Say.
Oh,
Lana, I'm sorry.
You son of a. That was my next pick. That was clearly my next pick. Okay.
The thing that immediately hooked me to Say is the fact that she's looking for someone who is observant and can find the pulse of a tribe. That's what she's looking for in an ally. That alone tells me that she knows about this game and what she can find in an ally. That kind of power is something that I need to have. She is a marketing professional for NBC Universal. She vibed with Marianne Andrea. She wants to be authentically herself, and she just has potentially the best social skills on the island. So, I mean, I really could not pass this up.
Yeah. Good choice, Jack. Great choice. Love that for you.
I'm sorry.
I was literally picking her next. Like, that was literally the next person I was going to say. But she, for all the reasons you said about her, and I just get a good vibe from her. I just do. I just get this good vibe, and I was going to pick her, so great choice.
Yeah, I think Say is a great choice. One of the reasons I wasn't particularly inclined to draft Say in this situation is I do think she's got a lot of great social skill, and I do think that's going to carry her throughout the game. She is the least knowledgeable about Survivor out of anybody on this cast. From what I understand, she has only watched Survivor 42. Because every single answer she gave was like, it was like favorite player, favorite non-winner, favorite moment, hot take. All of them are from Survivor 42, which is a great season to watch. I'm just worried that her lack of Survivor knowledge will impede her on a season, especially where there are a lot of people that really do know the game very, very well. Now that could play into her advantage, and having less knowledge might actually work in her favor. And I could definitely see that happening. But it was one of those things where, unfortunately, I really, really like her. I think she's going to be great on the island. she wasn't someone that I was immediately like yearning over to draft personally.
I think sometimes having lack of knowledge of a particular situation, especially of a game like Survivor, could come into play in a very good way, in a positive way. Because if you're surrounded by a bunch of super players and super fans who just love everything about Survivor and going to do sometimes learning on the spot is actually beneficial because you can adapt easily. Unlike certain people who are, I know this game, I know what's going to happen, and so they're stuck in ways and they don't adapt as easy. But the only thing I will agree with the lack of knowledge, it is such a short season. It's only 20-something days, and you don't have time to make many mistakes in a game before you are, especially in smaller tribes. If you make a mistake within the smaller tribes before you get to the bigger tribe, it's easily more spotted and more people will cling to it, and you might have to go soon. But I still liked her and I wanted to pick her. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
She's also on a tribe with a lot of strong personalities. So I'm intrigued to see how her personality is going to mesh with the rest of the people that she's on tribe with. So I'm intrigued, but all right, Lana, we're back to you for 2 picks.
Okay. What's that noise? I'm sorry. I got distracted by the noise. Thought it was me. Jack screwed me up right there because that's where I was going. I don't know where to go now. Okay, so for my first pick, I'm going to pick David.
Yeah. Solid pick.
Solid pick. Yeah. He drew me. For the number one, I love the fact that he's a stunt performer at Universal Studios. It's like kind of cool. It's like you don't hear that type of job, often. Like, oh, I'm a stunt performer at Universal. Oh, interesting. And of course, he is very athletic, so I think he'll do well in challenges and will, have a lot of. I just hope it doesn't create the target that it likes to create, but that's fine. He wants to play like Jonathan, which I'm like, okay, I can see. That's not a bad thing. Playing like Jonathan was good. Got him all the way to the end, but he also understands that he doesn't want the huge target on his back. He don't want to. Even though he has not seen every season, nobody asks you to be a super fan, and I think he's probably one of the people who hasn't watched a lot of seasons. He comes off and gives me that he hasn't watched a lot of seasons of Survivor, just a few. I don't know. Like I said, I'm a believer that that's not the end all be all for me not to pick that person. Yeah. I don't know. Is his knowledge of the game great? Probably not. But I think he'll be okay.
David read to me as someone who is going to play like Jonathan, but I don't necessarily consider that a compliment. He's going to be very out there. He's going to be very loud. And
wow.
Oh my god. I felt that was coming, but
yes, obviously.
Yes, obviously. But I mean, he reads to someone who's going to try and play this like big hulking giant who is going to win based off of
challenges.
Physical, but at the end of the day, you do have to still have a good social game, and I don't know necessarily if he will.
I think if he gets people scared enough of him, they'll leave him alone. Like,
is that a great strategy on Survivor though?
I mean, it worked for Jonathan all the way up to the final four. So
true. Yeah, David is personally, for me, just for me, not someone I had super high on my potential list. That's just me. I don't typically enjoy the big meathead. I mean, he's nice to look at, and he will be nice to look at. I don't personally think a lot of his skills, other than his physicality, are going to translate very well to Survivor. That's just me.
I mean, I can see that. I think this is definitely the wild card pick for me. This is someone who I don't know if it's going to go far, if his personality will rub the world away. But he could be surprising. He could be someone who actually has a great personality and is actually not the big meathead that we think he is. I'm trying not to be as closed off of certain people for those reasons. So I'm going to give him a chance.
You're not closing off, Lana?
I'm not closed off, but I might close off later. But I'm not closed off now. I'm still open. So I'm open to people like David at this point.
Cool.
Shout out. And because he has my gay husband's name. David, my husband's name. David. For my next pick. Wait, is he? Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Okay. And my next pick. I'm picking Star.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured that's where. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think it's a good pick.
I like Star. I'm here for Star. I want to see what Star can do, and I hope the stars align for Star. That's it. I just like her. Nothing more, nothing less.
Star is someone that I love. In every single one of her interviews that I've seen, she has such a distinct and powerful voice that genuinely just uplifts my spirit. And this is genuinely what was going to be my next pick. So tit for tat, it works.
You're welcome.
But she is a lesbian, so another one for the gays. She is playing for her son, Silver Mars, but specifically to make sure that Silver Mars can play in the future as a legacy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And thinking that far ahead makes me immediately want to stand you. Done.
Yeah. I really, really like Star. I really liked her pregame interview. Her most recent job is in sales, and so she's kind of like, she's coming in very much so businesswoman. Like, I'm gonna sell you what needs to happen. I'm gonna sell you on me. I'm gonna sell you on the Star experience. I think she's definitely going to be a really strong personality. She is also on the strong personality tribe. Lagi is filled with big personality. So I'm very intrigued to see how she's going to get on this tribe. I will say one of the things that worried me about drafting Star specifically is that a lot of people mentioned her as someone who was already very loud at Ponderosa, and it was not necessarily there was a lot of people being like, oh my god, I want to work with her. There were also some people saying, oh, I don't know that I necessarily want to work with her. So again, she's on a loud tribe, so I'm interested, but regardless, she's got the athleticism. She played D2 basketball in college. I think she's got a lot of the really great skills to do well at Survivor, and she's a lesbian mom. So hey, I'm rooting for the queers.
Period.
You have spoken a lot about how Loggy is very big personality, and my next pick is another big personality that I think knows how to navigate that situation. And based on your face, I am absolutely stealing one of your next picks. Yeah, I'm drafting Thomas.
I thought he was gonna go on. Oh, I'm so angry.
Yeah. So,
Great
Thomas.
pick, Jack. Fuck you.
Yeah, I know. Thomas is a music executive. He literally describes his day-to-day work as working in a viper pit. He is someone that just reads to me as knowing this game like the back of his hand. I would not be surprised if he is used to dealing with huge personalities on a daily basis and getting what he needs done. So I think that Thomas is in a perfect position in the early game.
I'm so bad right now. I'm so mad right now. Thomas had probably my favorite preseason interview because he is wildly charismatic. He talked a lot about, like, he did a lot of physical preparation for the show. And obviously working in the industry. So he works in talent acquisition. So he was talking in his interview about how he kind of works with the people that make the music underneath the hit songs, which I find really, really interesting. I think he's got so many great transferable skills for Survivor as well. He also talked about Sophie Clark being his favorite winner, and I love Sophie, so it was very, very nice. I don't think he's going to be perceived as a threat immediately. I think he's got a really good understanding of how to downplay his skills, and I think in this very loud tribe, I think he's going to be able to slide right through no problem. So I'm angry. I'm angry.
I'm sorry. I didn't have Thomas on my radar, but that's because I didn't watch the video, so I understand that. But hearing everything, I'm like, I see why you're angry, and I see why Jack picked him. So interesting to see how he is. If this Loggy tribe is as loud as we say, then I can't wait to see how he navigates it.
Well, I do still have two people that I'm very excited about drafting here. Mm-hmm. The first is someone that I will say, reading his bio didn't give me a whole lot, but watching him in the interview, wildly charismatic, I think has some of the best skill set based on his career and his occupation. And I think especially on a season that skews a little bit older, I think that Cedric is going to do really, really well on this season.
Just looking at him.
He works in colorectal surgery. He works in an OR. I mean, emergency surgery is one of the best skill sets to have going into Survivor. He talked in his interview about making split-second decisions that are going to completely impact other people's lives. I think he's got a great skill set going into Survivor. He also is a big fan of the show and started watching during medical school. So he's got the knowledge of the game. A lot of people also talked about how personable he seemed. He always had a smile on his face at Ponderosa. So I think Cedric is someone that's going to get along with everyone. I think he could give, maybe not necessarily dad vibes, but like Uncle Cedric vibes. I could definitely see that. And yeah, I think Cedric's going to do well.
I think so too. I was definitely had my eye on him, hoping that he got back around to me. And I was like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If he comes back, I have to get him. But it wasn't meant to be. But it's okay. I'm still rooting for him because, I root for everybody black. So
Obviously.
happy to see Cedric and happy to hear that he is a person that people actually like and who is getting positivity on in Ponderosa. I love that for him. I'm excited.
Cedric was one of the next 3 people I was looking at. So, I mean, he is someone, one, surgeons generally do really well on the show because you have to have a kind of reactionary, what do I need to do mindset. He's also watched the game for a long time. He takes from Earl Cole and Sari in terms of gameplay. And he is someone that can endure for a long period of time.
Yep.
And the fact that specifically made me hook onto him even more is he's produced multiple video series about public health. And that kind of communication and tact that you need for that is massive. So this is a stellar pick.
And he says he does jigsaw puzzles for fun. So you can see the puzzles that he might do. Survivor. I'm excited.
Yeah, he talked a little bit about getting some, like, he didn't do a whole lot of preparation for Survivor, obviously, because like he's working full-time.
He works.
But he talked about swimming and like increasing his swimming ability, and then also getting jigsaw puzzles and really like diving into puzzles and kind of like leaning on that side of his intelligence. I don't think he's going to be the biggest physical asset to a tribe, but I don't think he's going to be a slouch by any means of the imagination.
Absolutely.
So, well, Cedric is someone that I wanted. I am going to ultimately end up getting 3 of my top 4 picks because my other top 4 pick was Thomas. I cannot move forward without drafting Eva. I absolutely cannot move forward without drafting Eva. And I really, really enjoy her even more after watching her interview. I think I now have, 3 people from the same tribe, which is not great. Yep, I have 3 Logie members. Great, cool. I like the loud personalities. I do. I really, really like Eva. She has now competed on 3 different men's collegiate hockey teams, and is the captain of her of the Brown men's hockey team for this upcoming season. So like, hell yeah, girl, go off. She's in her PhD program right now. She's got the smarts. She's got the physicality, obviously. And as we talked about in the first impressions video that we did, I believe she's the first openly autistic contestant in Survivor history, which also, as someone on the spectrum, I really appreciate. I love seeing that representation. She talked a lot, and I resonated with this a lot as someone who's still kind of figuring out their situation. Talked a lot about, using autism to her advantage and kind of like locking in on things, and is able to like focus and concentrate and put a lot of energy into things, but can also get overwhelmed and, like burn out a little bit. So I am a little bit worried about her, but I think with her physicality, I have complete faith in her abilities. And I couldn't go any further without having her on my team.
Okay. I don't blame you at all for picking Eva. Like, she is going to be very interesting to watch. She's going to be someone who, number one, you want to see. It's always the first. It's always the people who are the first. You want to see how they are going to react in this situation. So the fact that she's the first openly autistic person. Now I'm sure we probably had other autistic people on Survivor that we did not know or didn't want to share that story. So we couldn't really gauge what they were doing and if this affected or whatever. But now that we know, I'm very interested to see how she takes this situation and handles the situation. And it's a good representation for anybody with autism to say, look, just because you have this does not mean it has to stop you from doing anything. You can still go on a show like a Survivor and you can still thrive and you can still do well. And you can look, just her being there is great for anybody with autism. So it's like, you can do it. Even if, and I'm not speaking this on her, she can go out first. And it's still a good representation because guess what? The next person behind her will go later. And each person behind them will go later. And they will figure this whole game out and how to make it work within what they have, what they're dealing with. So I love this for her. And I don't think she's going to go out first because number one, she's a bad chick. She is a bad girl. Not you being captain of not one or playing not one, not two, but three male hockey teams, and now you're the captain. Baby, you are bad. And I say props to you, mama. Eat them boys up. You eat them up and you do what you do. I am not worried about this girl in the slightest. She is going to eat this game up, and I am going to enjoy watching it every second of it. You go, girl. You go.
Eva was someone that I was definitely looking at. I wasn't sure if I was going to draft her or not, just because, I mean, I did want to diversify my picks in terms of tribes. But, I mean, she is someone who very clearly has a good grasp on the game, is a very, very physical-based player. One of the things that did kind of spook me about maybe selecting her is identifying with specifically challenge beasts, Denise and Lindsay. I mean, yes, that is a world where it's like, okay, yeah, you can just go into strategy, but having to specifically rely on challenges in Survivor isn't a good thing. And if that's what she's looking at, that definitely scares me a bit. But I really do like what she's presented so far, and I want to see her do well.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about having three people already from the same tribe, but hey, we move. We move. Yeah.
Alrighty. So, this next pick is an interesting one because I genuinely don't know how he's going to do. He reads it to me as someone who could go out super early or go all the way, and it just depends on circumstance. Justin, specifically.
Yeah.
He's such an enigma to me because he is on two separate ends of being like this the youngest ever legislative aide in the history of the Massachusetts State House, but now he's fully running a pizzeria shop. Like, there's these
His
two things are
pizzeria.
they're so different. But at the same time, it makes me want to see what he can do if he's able to adapt into completely different places and do so well. He doesn't quit. He is a vegetarian for life, and he wants an ally that he can bounce ideas off. And all of that makes me think that he will be a great player, especially in the early stages of the game where it's so tight.
I can see that. I definitely was looking at Justin. And for the reasons that scared me, Jack. I was like, how do you go from being a legislative house aide to a pizzeria manager, but then finding out that it was his family's pizzeria? It makes sense. It's like, okay, you come back, you work for the family, and if I get it. I was looking at him too. But I'm not mad at this pick from you. I'm not, because he kind of gives me, he almost looks like Hugh Jackman in the eyes. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. There's something about his eyes. But I like it. But you know what else spooked me from Justin? Y'all. He reminded me too much of Several. I feel like this man is going to play like Several. And I don't want anybody.
Jelinski. Not the Jelinski comparison.
It's the Several for me, y'all. That's his name. Jelinski's name is Several forever. But he kind of gave me Jelinski vibes, and I was like, I don't know. That's what scared me. But I was definitely looking at him.
Yeah, I don't think this is a bad pick by any means of the imagination. He's educated. He ended up taking over his family's pizzeria, I think, after his parents basically just couldn't do it anymore. I do like that he said the word quit is not in my vocabulary. I like that. He's got determination. He wasn't someone in his interview, I will say, his personality didn't pop for me in the way that a lot of other people's did. So I don't think he's a bad pick by any means of the imagination, though. So. All right, Lana. Your last two picks that you get to pick.
Okay. So, for my first pick, I'm going to pick Kevin.
Yeah, I knew Kevin wasn't getting back around to me. And I'm sad about it.
I think Kevin's adorable.
Yeah.
I think Kevin is adorable. But he's a finance manager, and he said he watched you on Cook Island. So I love that for him, and representation matters. So I'm glad that was someone who he could see on TV and say, I could do this too. He identifies with Christian, Nick, and Davey. But
he talked a lot about David versus Goliath in his interview.
I think he watched David and Goliath. That might be the only one he watched, but I feel like he watched.
No, he's a huge Survivor fan.
Okay, good. I love that, because I was looking at this and I was like, is that all he watched? I don't know, but I also love that he works with kids with disabilities. That shows his his ability to want to help people, and he's not just a heartless, cold person. I think he's sweet. And he's sitting right in that pocket for me of the right age, right in his prime, the right, I think he'll be an athletic asset, but not a super threat where people are going to be like, oh yeah, he got to go. Unless they are hugely doing some crazy stuff, which I don't want to see, because don't go after Kevin. Stop Asian hate. Thank you. But I love him. I think I really do like him. So I was happy to have him. And I needed somebody on the Vula tribe, because I don't know why I couldn't get people on that tribe. I don't know.
Right.
Kevin reads to me as very interesting. His bio in particular was pretty lacking, in my opinion, but from what I could get, he knows how to adapt in a lot of places. He's very personable, and I mean, knowing that he is a Survivor super fan and specifically looks to David and Goliath as his first choice is very interesting. I want to see what he does. He wasn't necessarily high on my list, but that's because I had so many other people I was looking at.
Fair. I think Kevin's a really good choice. I think he's got the personality. There's definitely a good amount of charisma. He talked about, being on a bit of like a fitness journey and then getting contacted by Abercrombie to be a welcome model for them. And like that really boosted his confidence. So I do like that for him. I am intrigued to see how Kevin's going to do. He talked about not being super outdoorsy and that kind of being his kryptonite. So I worry how he will do with the physical element of Survivor. But I think he's personable. I think he's well-rounded. I think find him in the right kind of tribal dynamics, and I think he could succeed. Absolutely. And he talked about when he was a kid, he would watch Survivor without sound on so that his parents didn't find out that he was watching it. So like he would watch the show and have no clue what was going on, like had no clue what a tribal council was. I do think that's adorable.
That's wild. That's wild.
But all right, Lana. One more.
The one last person I'm going to pick should surprise no one. That is Kyle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Take the lawyer. I didn't want him, so take the lawyer.
What you mean you didn't want Kyle?
I don't think he's bad, but lawyers don't tend to do well on Survivor.
I mean, that's not true. We had 3 of them in one season make it to the end.
Yeah.
That's not true. But I'm not afraid of lawyers. I didn't see his video, so I don't know if he has bad whatever. But I did like that he said that he wants to. Whoa, not that. You can't get too excited, Lana, or you're going to knock down your whole setup. Yeah. I like him going in wanting to be unabashedly himself. Like anybody who is not afraid to show who they are and be who they are, I'm a fan of that. He wants to work with those with open mind and willing to play the game with intention. I think he's going to be smart about things. He's going to make some rational decisions on things. He has been forced to interact with several different people, so I think he can deal with different personalities and different types. I don't know. I just like him, and he's black, so I was gonna pick him anyway. So there we go. I don't care if nobody else pick you, and I don't care if nobody else like you. I'm gonna root for you. So go Kyle. Period.
For me, at least, nothing about Kyle stood out in his bio in particular as to why I should draft him. I do think it's really good that he is playing the game and he's going to be playing as himself, as unabashedly himself. But I mean, I am also wary of the very classic issue of lawyers potentially being seen as too much early on. Just not. He also looks for like people with intention to play the game. Is he going to go too hard too fast? I really wasn't sure on where he could hold Kyle in the game.
Let me make it very, very clear. I don't dislike Kyle. I just am always wary about drafting lawyers in these kinds of situations, just because I don't always know how the skills are going to translate. But I think he is very interesting. He's taught at a juvenile detention center, and so I think having like he's got a lot of really good skills. He talked about like having charm and that kind of like being his whole thing. the what I got from his interview was a lot of personality, but not necessarily a whole lot of knowledge on the game. And again, I like people with a bit more knowledge on the game. So that's just me personally. But I don't think Kyle's bad by any means. I just don't think he didn't give me a whole lot. That's all.
Okay.
So my second to last pick, I am surprised no one grabbed her to this point. She reads to me as someone who could be a complete and utter mess and flame out in one round.
Yep.
But she also reads to me as someone who, as long as she can kind of stay calm and get good allies, she's going to do really well, and that's Mary.
Oh.
Not who I thought you were going for.
Not who I thought you were going for either.
So Mary is a substance abuse counselor, which she figured out that she wanted to do after backpacking. Like Mary's whole story is very interesting. It feels like she's lived like 3 or 4 different lives. She's done Peace Corps, she's done AmeriCorps, she's hitchhiked across the Mediterranean. She found out during that she was good at counseling, and that's how she fell into it. Her parents led the 1989 my brain is not working. Thank you. Tiananmen Square protests. Like, something about her just screams to me that she has control, but it could go off the rails very quickly. It is definitely a risk to draft her, but I think being a bundle of contradictions is something that will just work for her. So I am very excited to see how she does.
That's interesting. I was looking at Mary, not even gonna lie. Looking at her, she scared me. I felt like she was a little too, I don't want to say hippy dippy, but more like tree hugging, loving the world, peace and love, man. And I feel like she can fall victim to, she's the weakest person on the tribe. We need to let her go first. She could be very emotional in the game and take a lot of things very personal. I don't know this woman. I just was a little pulled back, but I'm rooting for her. Honestly, the more I look at her, the more I'm rooting for her. I want her to prove all those people wrong. I love seeing the small, petite girl just eating up this game. So I would love to see it. I hope she is a hot mess, but in the best way possible. I would love to see a good hot mess running around, causing some chaos in the tribe. But she's so lovable, you don't really want to vote her out. And make it a goat. I don't know. I think she's going to be great. I can't wait to see what she does.
Yeah, I think Mary's a really good choice as well. Again, someone that I don't think has a whole lot of knowledge of Survivor, but I think she's got a lot of applicable skills. She talked a lot about the backpacking adventures. There wasn't a whole lot of depth to her interview. I'll be 100% honest. It was a lot of talking about, backpacking and hitchhiking and having that experience and not necessarily, knowing where she was going to sleep one night and kind of like going with the moment and figuring things out in the moment, which I think is a really good skill to have. But I think being a counselor, especially, she's going to be someone I think a lot of people are going to want to gravitate towards. I think she's really, really interesting. There just wasn't a whole lot of depth to her as far as skills applicable to Survivor. So that's kind of where I'm at with her. I think she's going to be very interesting to watch, though. And I mean, her adjectives to describe her were chaotic, dynamic, and thoughtful. We will see if the chaos reigns supreme in this case.
Is she going to give us thoughtful chaos? I love it.
Who knows? Who knows? But all right. Well, I have 2 more picks. I'm kind of surprised that at this point no one's taken Mitch.
I was looking at him.
I think Mitch is a very, very interesting person. First person on Survivor with a stutter, with a speech impediment. So I think obviously great representation. Love that. He's also a marathon runner. He's a first generation college student. He's kind of paved his own way. He's a PE coach, so obviously there's a lot of physicality to him. He talked about players like Spencer and Joe in terms of like their competitiveness. And then also kind of compared himself a little bit to Cochran the second time that he played for his fearlessness. I think he's got a good personality. I think he's going to do very well at disarming people. And I think having a speech impediment is actually going to work to his advantage. I think that's going to disarm a lot of people. And I think if he can use the skills that he has to his benefit, I think he's going to be a really successful Survivor player. So, Mitch, I'm taking him.
Definitely was looking at Mitch. I kept going back to Mitch, and I did the same thing. If it's meant to be, it'll come back to me. It's not meant to be. But yeah, Mitch is a good pick. Yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with that pick at all.
Nope.
Yeah, no, Mitch is a really good pick. I mean, a very, very physical player. I am interested to see how he does in terms of strategy, as nothing necessarily about his bio gave me that he's a strategist, and he isn't necessarily looking for that in an ally. He's looking for valued opinions, but not like strategicness. So that was probably my biggest hesitation, but I do think that he's going to be, no matter what, amazing representation, and I think he will probably do at least decently well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. My last pick is a big old wild card. I don't know what to make of her. I find a lot of the things she said to be complete contradictions. But I'm going to pick up Chrissy here.
I thought I was getting her.
I am absolutely picking up Chrissy. She's got some like interstitial Survivor knowledge. She talked a lot about like watching the old seasons, but not necessarily having the best memory. She is the oldest contestant on the season, which normally wouldn't necessarily be like a super, super positive thing. But A, this is an older cast, so it does skew older. So I do think there's a lot of value to the amount of wisdom that she has. B, she's a firefighter and was a paramedic. He's got all of the physicality and all of the skills. And C, older women in this archetype have done very well in the new era of Survivor. I think she's intriguing. She talked about how she doesn't think superfans bring that much to the show. And to that I say,
Interesting.
But I think she's going to be really interesting to watch. I'm really intrigued to see what happens with Chrissy. So,
wow,
that's where I'm going.
Didn't see that coming. I thought I was gonna get Chrissy.
Chrissy's a weird one because her interviews, at least written out, didn't really give much. It was very bare bones. But I mean, classic mother of the tribe vibes. She read to me as someone who would be.
She said more Auntie Chrissy. She didn't say Auntie. Mother. She doesn't want to be the mother. She wants to be Aunt Chrissy.
Okay, so she's going for more maybe cool aunt vibes.
Yes.
And I am very interested to see how that plays out. She was a giant wild card for me, and honestly, I just wanted a SIVA member, so this was absolutely going to be my next pick. But unfortunately, that option is gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
He also talked about like sometimes having to work with different firehouses and learning how to size people up really, really quickly and immediately getting people to trust her. Obviously, in the line of work that she's in, you kind of have to do that. So understanding, okay, if you have the skills that are going to work with the skills that I have, we're going to make this work. I think she's going to make some really fast judgments on people, but if she finds the right people within her tribe, I think she could be successful. So, yeah. But
I'm here for it.
Jack, you got 2 people left to pick from.
We already know what Jack is
one
picking.
Of them threw up significantly more red flags than the other in terms of their overall status. So I am going to be taking Stephanie. Stephanie is a tech product lead for a household e-commerce company. She previously did Teach for America. She could only armchair quarterback for so long when you're as challenge-minded as me before you just need to realize that you need to shut up and play. And I simply don't know how she's going to do. Because she reads to me almost as someone who is like trying to find the optimal move or the absolute right position for every round. And that doesn't work on Survivor. You can't always have a perfect solution. But the thing is, she at least knows the game. Compared to the other person, I'm not really sure. So I mean, I am okay taking Stephanie on. I want to see her do really well. She's very ambitious, outgoing, resilient, but I just don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, her interview didn't give me a whole lot. I do think she's going to be someone that might be in her head a little bit too much. I think she's got a lot of really good applicable skills, though. She's in an industry that is very male dominated, so I think she's going to have a really good understanding as to how to kind of slip her way in and kind of manage tribal dynamics. I am just a little bit worried that she's going to be too focused on 5 steps ahead when in reality she needs to be
right,
like maybe 1 step ahead or like literally just in the moment. She's someone that unfortunately, just based on the vibe that I'm getting from her, I could see her playing too hard too fast. But I like her. I think she's got a solid personality. So,
and she could surprise you. She could surprise you and not be any of those things. So,
right.
Never count out anybody at this point. So.
Right. And that means, Lana, you got Joe.
Sure. I'll take Joe. He's a firefighter, a fire captain. So he has some skills, some physicality about him. He applied to the show to honor his sister who lost her life from domestic violence. So I love that about him. I love that he's doing it. He has a purpose why he is there. So maybe that can drive him to do things. I didn't watch his video, so I don't know, these red flags of maybe not knowing the game as much. Maybe he is there for his sister and he didn't particularly watch the show as much. And that's fine too. Like I said, people who don't know the show don't really scare me because a lot of people learn on the job. And I think him being a fire captain, he has probably learned a lot of things on the job and a lot of things in training. And so I think he can be quick-witted and, quickly adapt to situations, maybe. He's a dad. So he'll probably be like the dad of the tribe. One thing about dads, which they have a good leg up in games like this, they could be the dad of the tribe or they can be the bros of the tribe. Like, it's not out of their realm to be able to get in those bros alliance or be the dad of the group where all the girls like him too, because he's just a nice guy. He's such a nice guy. We like having him around. and he's good with the bros and the guys because he can, talk guy stuff and do the guy thing. So I'm not particularly mad. I'm very shocked that I got Joe, honestly. I'm shocked that it came to Joe and that he came back to me. So it was meant to be, because I looked at Joe like 3 times. And so I'm not mad at this choice at all.
Party.
I got the vibe that as I read through his stuff in his interview, that what you said is correct. He does not really know the game of Survivor too well. And the only part he really does know is basically the challenges. And
yeah, he went through, I think it was him. He went through and watched every tribal and challenge from every episode of the New Era, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very alarming, because you don't just the only way I could put
the
it
game
is
so much more than that.
This isn't Roblox Survivor. It isn't just the challenges and the tribals. Like, there is actively a lot of strategy talk that goes into it, and it does make me afraid that he will get swept up very early. But at the same time, it's very possible he doesn't.
I mean, I think it's possible that he could have the culture shock when he's out there and he realizes, oh, wait, it's a lot more going on. I don't think he'll be the first person like they target. So I think he'll be around a couple of days to figure out, like, okay, wait, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to learn to talk more and be involved in the strategy, or I will be the plan. Like, if I'm not a part of the plan, I will be the plan. I think he has that he has the personality, or him, that can stick around for a couple of days to figure that out. Like, that was my hesitation with Mary. I don't know if she had if she's going to have that luxury of sticking around a couple of days to figure it out and realize what the game entails. I think he does have the luxury, and it's sad to say, but a bigger guy who is physical probably has the luxury of sticking around a couple of days to figure out what he needs to do and how he needs to navigate in this game, besides a smaller, petite woman like Mary, who they will easily say, oh, she's the weakest link, she got to go. So, I don't know. I think he has that luxury, and I think he'll do okay if he figures out the strategy. Now, if he just, we've seen some people who refuse. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk game. I don't want to do this. And then he got them out the door. Now, if he does that, bye, Joe. You know, Joe, you ain't do it.
And one of the people that he resonated a lot with was Cody.
Mm-hmm.
That I wasn't the biggest fan of that answer, but what I will say is that he's got a lot of charisma.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got some charisma. I do think he could get in and kind of be the dad of the tribe. He's a fire captain as well, so obviously a lot of the skills that we were talking about with Chrissy easily apply as well to Joe. He talked about wanting a non-crazy and loyal alliance member. And I just think he's going to be like alliance. And there's going to be a lot of rigidity to the way that he plays Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know necessarily how that's going to translate, but we shall see.
We shall see.
And with that, we have some draft teams. So,
love that.
Team Lana, Charity, David, Star, Kevin, Kyle, and Joe. Team Jack, Camilla, Say, Thomas, Justin, Mary, and Stephanie. And Team Logan, Bianca, Shauheen, Cedric, Eva, Mitch, and Chrissy.
I don't know what it is this time around in Survivor seasons, but I have picked mostly males on both drafts.
Yep.
Huh. Interesting.
And maybe Jack has more women, and I have an even balance. So,
right.
Hey.
I feel like
I'm not too mad at it.
This is the year of the man for me. And then next season, No men at all.
No men. All
no
women.
Men, all women.
There's only 9 women on a season. I'm gonna draft 6
I'm
of them.
trying 6 of them, and the rest of you can have the men. Who knows?
Sure.
But I love this.
Yeah, this is a really good spread. I could honestly, just based off preseason stuff, I could see any of us winning this draft. There's so many good picks in each of our selections. So
at least CBS is a lot better than 10 Play is, and gives us an even amount of coverage for all of their players.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much. But with that being said, that is our draft for Survivor 48. We'll be keeping you all updated as the weeks go on, as far as our draft standings and everything in between. But we will be back shortly after the premiere next Wednesday to talk about Survivor 48. I'm very excited. Very excited.
Oh my god, it's already coming.
I know. Oh.
I'm excited.
And then we get the Amazing Race the week after.
Yay!
So, if you are fans of Survivor, Australian Survivor, Amazing Race, Deal or No Deal Island, Traders, all those lovely, fabulous, and wonderful shows, we are covering them all right here on the Cup TV. So, if you have not subscribed, if you made it through this video and you haven't subscribed,
come on.
What are you doing?
Please, thank you.
Please.
Thank you very much. Let us know your thoughts on our draft down in the comments below. Who are you rooting for? Who are you excited for? All those lovely, fabulous, and wonderful things. Subscribe on the way out. We are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and it literally takes 5 seconds, like half a second, and it's free. So, like, thanks. Make sure to check out the description below as well, where you can find all of our audio podcast links, as well as our other YouTube channels, our Patreon, our social media, and where you can get your merch, including but not limited to cup mug. And with all that being said, we are going to go ahead and get out of here. So cheers.
Cheers.